What's up, everybody? Happy Wine Wednesday!
Happy
Cheers
Wednesday.
from Bonobo. Salud!
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody here.
Yeah,
how you guys doing?
Like
What's up?
awesome human beings sharing cheese with us tonight.
Yes, tonight we have a super special Wine Wednesday. It's different than most. Usually we're inside, we're cooking. But in the beginning of when we started doing this, which was what, how many months ago now?
Probably 4 or 5, maybe 6.
Yeah, we actually brought in the Cheese Lady,
Yes.
which is local to Traverse City, here where Bonobo's at. And we brought in the Cheese Lady, and she did a Zoom with us, and it was wildly successful.
And everyone got shipped cheeses, so we were back in LA.
What?
Shipped
Oh,
cheeses.
shipped, yeah, okay. Shipped, yeah, okay. Just check it.
Shipped cheeses, airplane to the cheese. And we were in LA, and it was so much fun having these delicious little bites of heaven that Tina picked out. So I'm so excited to share tonight, and everyone else now gets to try these delicious cheeses paired with the wine.
Right. So we kind of like we before we were just doing like these VIP 10 top. Here we opened it up a little bit more because we have a lot of room here on the deck. We have about 3,000 square feet. So I think we have probably, I don't know, 20 people here today, and we get to do a little bit more, a few more offerings, which is great. So hopefully if you're ever in Traverse City in Northern Michigan, you come to see us, Bonobo Winery. Maybe we will have some cheeses, and maybe Tina will be here. That would be great because she's phenomenal.
And if you are in Traverse City, you can always go to the Cheese Lady shop because you can get it right there.
She'll probably be there. I don't know what's going on there. She'll tell you more when we get her on camera. But also in the future, we have a lot of celebrity guests coming up. We still there's no shortage of that. We have Sunny Anderson coming up from Food Network
next week.
We have
Abra Behrens, who will be newly a local chef again up in Traverse City
at Farm Club,
at TC Farm Club.
Yep.
And she wrote an incredible cookbook called Roughage. So I'm so excited to have her on too.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's obviously, like Amy said, local, and she's doing a fantastic job. We have Marcus Samuelson, who's coming on as well. I think that's September 16th. And he has numerous restaurants in New York and all over the world, actually. But he's phenomenal. The first time I met Marcus Samuelson, he had a place called Aquavit, where it was all about the smell and then the taste. And he had this
of what?
Of like his foods, of his food.
Smell and taste.
Yes, but it was kind of like that. He put that so forward with his food. He's a phenomenal chef, and he's going to be here with us and talk about some of his stuff. And so we're very excited to have him on as well. Yeah, and then we got a couple other celebrities sprinkled in there who are not chefs. But they like wine, so that's good. We'll send them some.
That's true.
In the meantime, let's go out to, speaking of celebrities, Todd Oosterhouse.
Oh, Todd.
Who's around here, and he's going to take it away, and he's going to talk to some people that are here.
Hi, Todd.
Hey, how we doing over there? Good to see you. Glad you can make it tonight. I want to go to some long-time listeners, first-time callers. We have the Van Strats, the Alvarados that are participating tonight. Just a couple questions. What do you like about cheese and wine there, Mac? I know you're a big cheese, but
there's nothing better than cheese and wine, especially from Traverse City.
And you guys have done this before. You guys have.
We did this online, and now we're here in person.
In person. Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys showing up, as well as everybody else out here. You can see all 20 guests that we have participating here on the beautiful 28. Okay, thank you for the clarification. We got that from the fact checkers back there. They're telling us what's going on. But looking forward to getting the cheese going. We got the Cheese Lady getting everything prepared. We're getting ready back there. You think so? I think Tina and I are going to talk about the wines as well as why we did that a little bit, and then we'll get started. I know everyone's anxiously waiting. So we're going to get things going, and the sun came out and blessed us with that. So let's take it back way over there to you guys.
Hi, my older brother, never shortage of words. He always has something to say. We are thrilled because today we get to pair some wine and cheese. And we have Tina, who is, if you don't know her, the cheese lady in Traverse City. She has got phenomenal cheeses. Tina, the cheese lady, take it away.
Hey, everybody.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Tina.
All right. So I got this really cool hat that's going to block me from the sun so you can see. Actually, it's blinding. But so anyways, I am the cheese lady of Traverse City. We've been around for 6, almost 7 years. My very first pairing, or maybe my second one, was with Bonobo Winery. And we did several of them those first couple of years. We both kind of took off, went different directions, still did some pairings, some cheese. A lot of times when they're picking cheeses, they'll come to my shop and try them. So I've had a relationship with Bonobo Winery and have had a blast for many, many years. We were actually getting ready to put a pairing together, weren't we, Todd? Of course, yes. And then we had to end up doing Zoom meeting and do it that way, which worked really well. I can tell you, our shop has 150 cheeses. We do farmers markets. We used to do tastings, which we'll be able to do again. And it's just been a little sad these last 5 months because I haven't been able to get out and do a pairing with the wineries and stuff. So I'm even been at home eating cheese and wine. And I am so excited. The Zoom was great, but going live, this is wonderful. It's a great patio. Everybody's, got their social distancing, and I am just rip roaring ready to go. I mean, I don't really want to talk about me. I want to talk about cheese and wine. That's just about it.
That is you, Tina, though. That is you.
Yeah.
We want to talk about you.
It's not all about me. It's about the cheese. I don't make any cheese, but I sure know a lot about cheese, and I sure love it. So that's what we're going to talk about.
All right, give it up. Why don't you come back here as Tina gets ready for the first pairing.
All right.
So the cool thing about, obviously what we're doing here is we want to keep an emphasis on the wine, but we also want to pair it up with a lot of local. There's so much. Traverse City is a great fruit bearing region, and we have so much to offer, fruits, vegetables, whatever it is. And we want to offer a lot from the other farms around here. So the fact that we actually have Tina, not that she has a farm, but she is the cheese lady here in town, and it is local. That's why last week we paired blueberries.
Yeah.
The week before that we had peaches. We're going to do a Taco Tuesday, but on Wednesday we're going to do local corn. So we have a lot of fun things to go, and we are pairing it with as many local items as we can, and getting some of our neighbors involved. Tina, don't go too far because you're going to be up here real soon.
Look at me, I'm a worker bee.
And she's trying to work right now.
She's trying to give everyone their cheeses.
The fun part about wine is you can kind of pair it with that just about anything, and there's always a little love to it. What's your favorite? What do you love to pair wine with?
Pair wine with?
Yeah.
I mean, I think honestly, wine and cheese is the best.
If you didn't have cheese, let's say
pasta. I'm a pasta lover.
All right, I didn't know that was coming. I was gonna say chocolates maybe, but
I'll eat pasta at every meal if I could.
I would say chocolates probably.
Chocolates
Yeah, I
is
think
your
so.
thing?
I think so. Chocolates.
Who are you?
Yeah, do we know each other? Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
What's up, buddy? All right, so let's start off the pairing. We have 3 wines and 3
four cheeses.
four cheeses,
We've got
3
4
wines.
cheeses.
We're gonna let Tina take it away, and then we're
Yes.
gonna get some questions from some people around. And let's take it away, Tina.
Here.
All right. Well, this is a great pairing. We always like to at least have one wine where we can have 2 cheeses, because I like to show how cheeses and wine, or how cheese or foods can change the wine, improve them, bring, just make them more wonderful, or bring out some of the quality in the wine. So I always like to talk about the wine and the cheese. But a couple of little rules is when you do a true pairing, has anybody ever done a wine or cheese pairing with us, or done a cheese and wine pairing somewhere? Great. So
With
what I
us?
always,
Did you do it with us or no?
No.
No.
Oh, yeah.
All right, just
It's
first
good.
time.
Everyone-
yeah, that's all right. So yeah, this is great because there's more people and
Yeah.
we can turn on to this. So anyways, what I always like to tell everybody is when you do a pairing, what we have done is, like when we were at the shop, got the wines to our shop. Usually we get to have the winemaker or somebody from the facility come in and we sample, which is really fun because we do 5 wines and sometimes a couple of those bottles empty. But that's always a great fun time. But you got to make sure you find the right cheese to go with the right wine. So I always tell people when you're doing a pairing, you always want to start with the wine, then you go to the cheese, and then you go back to the wine. So that's the first rule. And then the other part of that one rule is when you take that first sip of wine, make sure you actually think about what you're tasting. Is it dry? Does it have, fruit notes? Does it have pepper notes? Really think about that wine, because when you eat the cheese and you go back to that wine, it will just help enhance that pairing. We didn't just say, oh, let's have some cheese and wine. We actually tried to bring some cheeses that really, go great with these wines or enhance the wine, the magic is when it enhances the wine and the cheese. And we actually do have that pairing with us. Okay, the second one I want to tell you guys, because the very first pairing is with Gouda. This Gouda is a creamy, like 4-month-old Gouda. It has a lot of flavors that you get from an aged Gouda. So it has a little bit of sweet notes. It's very creamy. And this cheese is actually a cheese that I've had all the winemakers from this area sample with their private stock, whatever wine they've brought. And we can't find a wine that doesn't go with it. It just goes with everything. So we're going to do something kind of interesting today. When you eat that first cheese, make sure you save some for the second wine. And maybe even that last wine. If you're not a big blue fan, I would probably save that Vlaskas, that first pairing, to go at the very end, because I want you to try the blue cheese. But if it's not your favorite, if you eat the Vlaskas and drink the wine, we'll cleanse that palate again. All right, everybody, any questions yet?
No.
Why did you choose this one as our first, the Harvest Gouda?
Well, so what we do is we kind of ask what order the wine should go in.
Okay.
So we always go to the wines first and say, all right, from there, we're going to try to find a cheese. So what we do is we taste the wine at the shop, and we have, 150 cheeses to pick from. My daughter has a perfect palate. So she's what we call a super taster. And that means she has a very, very good nose. She can smell just about anything that comes out. In fact, we're going to find what you guys were talking about. You were talking about that smell.
That's right.
And that's going to happen.
Aquavit.
Yeah, that's going to happen on the red wine. We're going to make
perfect.
that red wine smell come out with one of these cheeses.
And by the way, let me just comment. Amanda Freitag, who's celebrity chef on Chopped, who was here a couple weeks ago, she too has a perfect palate. And which we didn't even get into that. She told me later that she can smell and taste just about anything.
Yeah. So what happens at the shop is we open these wines, and then my daughter lets me pick a few, and then she says, actually, you want this one. So when she's there, it's kind of like she just messes with my head and lets me drink something. Just want to get that out there. But anyway, so the very first one, we're drinking
Pinot Gris.
the Pinot Gris. Anybody know the difference between Gris and Grigio? So same grape, grown in different countries. Grigio is Italian and Gris is French. Yeah, I got it right. I'm not a wine expert, but I've learned from my wineries. But so anyways, so Pinot Grigio usually tends to be a little bit sweeter, a little bit fruit forward. This one's going to be just a little bit drier. So the first cheese we're going to eat is called Vlaskas. Again, like a 4 to 6 month old Gouda. It's going to be really creamy. You're going to get a little bit of sweet notes. So we're going to try the wine, then we're going to go to the cheese, and then we're going to come back to the wine. What we're really going to do, I'm going to give you a little hint on this first one. What it's going to do is, for me, it actually kind of dried it out. It actually made it a bigger, heavier, bolder wine. And then if you take a second sip of that wine after you eat that cheese, a little bit of that first flavor is going to start coming back. And it's kind of fun to watch how we're going to dry it out, and then we're going to bring it back to its original taste.
And just so everybody knows, Tina, as organized and wonderful as she is, numbered the places on the plates, so you know which order to go in for the cheese. So the one is for the Pinot Gris. That's the Vlaskas.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That cheese is so delicious.
Yeah, and remember, we're going to keep a little bit of that cheese, Carter. Don't eat it all at once.
No.
Just because it's going to be really, really
Such
fun
good cheese.
with the second wine. What do you guys think? Isn't that pretty good? It's pretty, it is. It's pretty amazing. Like I said, if you're, when people come into the shop, a lot of times, hey, we're having beer, or we're having wine, or we're having cocktails. And we've paired with breweries, we've paired with distilleries, actually, which is pretty bizarre to find mixed drinks that go with our cheese. But with it, pairing with wines, it's just so easy. And this cheese, if you're going to drink reds, whites, if you're just going to have a party and you need a cheese for reds, whites, anything, this is a go-to cheese. I sell pounds and pounds of this. So.
Where is this from?
This is a Gouda from the Netherlands. Beemster if anybody's been to knows about the Beemster Creamery, Beemster XO Vlaskas is kind of its middle-aged one. They do a really young one. They do flavored ones. It's probably the largest creamery in the Netherlands that ships to the United States. So you can find it other places. I can tell you the reason that you buy from a cheese shop rather than a grocery store. Grocery store is wrapped in plastic. The minute they shrink wrap it in plastic, they're pulling all the moisture out of the cheese. You crack that plastic open, and oxygen hits all that moisture, and that's why your cheese sometimes molds, and that's why you don't buy from a store. Find a good little cheese shop somewhere. And
I love that fact that everybody got quiet when you said that. Like, everyone's like, what?
Well, in Traverse City, if you need a cheese shop, I have an idea of where there is. Just kidding. But it is true.
They have cheese paper.
Yeah,
Instead
that's
of
why
wrapping
everything
it.
is wrapped in cheese paper. You would have seen it's all wrapped in cheese paper. The other thing too, if you go to a cheese shop, they cut fresh off the wheel. So you're getting it as fresh as can be. We're going through a 85-pound of Parmesan about every 2 weeks right now. So
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty good stuff.
When you put Parmesan on everything, that kind of.
That's true. Yeah.
You put it in your cereal too?
I put it on everything.
All right,
I
just check.
put it on.
Yeah. Savory cereal.
All right, are you guys ready
So
for
good.
number 2?
Okay. And by the way, since we're opening this up, any questions, just raise your hand.
Yeah,
Todd
I'll find
is
you.
a runner. He will come
Yeah, I'll
over.
run right over, we'll
Yeah.
talk about it, make sure it's appropriate, and then I will put it out there.
If it's not appropriate, ask me. No, I'm just kidding.
Look, before, so what are some of the things that for when people are wanting to do an at-home wine and cheese pairing, what are some of the qualities or characteristics that they should be looking for when they're trying? So you say go with the wine first and then you pair the cheese with the wine. So, for people at home that want to do something like this, what are some tips that you would give them?
Well, again, and you can go online. There's cheese shops all over the United States right now that are doing live. They're doing like Zoom and they're doing pairings, or you can buy pairing packages. So I always say find somebody who's done them, done pairings. If you go to a winery, like for instance, Bonobo, they could almost probably pull up some of our old menus. We have them, and just say, hey, what cheese goes with this? Or, you can call us. To go to a store, I always say, if you're gonna just go ahead and pair, Manchegos, Goudas, blues, breeze, but there are, like, if you do a blue with this beautiful white, it would be awful. but so you just kind of got to know. So just find somebody, call us, we'll talk to you.
Yeah, we'll talk to you
Yeah.
too. So.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Any questions? Anybody?
Any questions?
Nope.
All right. So this isn't a planned idea, but it's really funny. When I first got here, I was talking with the ladies in the winery and I said, oh my gosh, you guys, you got to try this. My daughter paired the first 2 wines and I paired the second 2. So I thought that this cheese went with the rosé, and all they kept talking about at the shop is, oh my God, that rosé was so good. And they never saved any for me. They brought it home and drank it. So I went to eat the Vlaskas with the rosé, and this was my description. And I think you agreed with me. It was butterflies, flowers, rainbows, sunny sky, moonrise, sunrise. It is like the most amazing explosion ever. So does everybody have the rosé cups?
Yeah, all the wines are out.
They are all.
Yep.
I don't see mine.
Oh, sorry. I got you, Tina.
What the heck?
Tina, you gotta drink this one faster. That's fine.
I know. This is where
There, woo! There we go. That's a cheese lady for
I
you.
don't recommend slamming your wine every time, but
All right,
if
so
you need to, go ahead.
all right, really quick story. My significant other works for Paolo Sabatini, who works for MSU's viticulture. He was a technician. When we first started dating many years ago, I was a beer drinker, and he told me the first thing you have to learn, honey, is to not guzzle, because I was a beer drinker. So a year later, after many times I drank too much wine, I learned not to guzzle. That was her fault, so that's not my fault. I don't usually guzzle wine.
I will.
except
I'll
when
take
we're curling.
Except for when we're curling, that's true. So anyways, rosé, we're gonna do a double pairing here. Well, this wasn't planned, but we're gonna do it. So
This is the bonus round.
bonus round, yeah. So-
Bonus round.
what I really want you to do is to try the I got it. It's Prima donna. So this is prima donna.
Number two on your plate.
Yeah, number 2 is prima donna aged. My daughter's very favorite cheese. This is a Gouda style. It's called a Prosti, but it is from the Netherlands, but it doesn't have as much fat as a Gouda needs. So cheeses are each style of cheese is either from a certain area, a certain country. That's how it gets its name. Goudas are named after the town they originated from. But Goudas are obviously from the Netherlands, but they have to have a certain amount of fat content to be considered a true Gouda. So this is called a Prosti. But what it is a very much a Gouda style, but they add a Parmesan or an Italian culture. So instead of getting rich and creamy like that Blaskas, it gets really nutty. So if you try that rosé and then you eat the prima donna and then come back, it's going to really, really change that rosé. And then once you do that, we're going to sip a little bit more wine and we're going to try another little bite of that Blaskas. Okay. And then you're going to come back to the rosé. And what you're going to see is one is going to make it very dry and the other one is going to make it like, it's kind of like eating a Zot. Remember those hard candies that kind of blow up in your mouth? Do you remember those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Didn't we put them in our Zimas?
Oh, I don't know.
Jolly Rancher. All right.
I'm too old
Say
for
that
that.
again, Tina. What are we doing? We're taking a sip and a bite and a what?
A sip of the rosé. Then we're going to eat some of that prima donna, number 2.
Okay.
And then we're going to go back to the wine because remember we're going to do wine, cheese, wine. What do you guys think? Really good. First of all, this rosé, I did try it in the kitchen. I did not slam it, but I did sip it, and it was amazing. You hear that, Todd?
Yeah, I hear it. Thank you for clarifying, Tina.
Hey, I'm still standing.
It's our number one seller this summer, this rosé.
It is just so light and so beautiful. I can sit out on my patio, and I could drink a bottle of easy.
Will you tell us the difference between the prima donna and the Blaskas with the rosé?
So I think everybody has a different palate too. So what I don't try to really tell you exactly what's going to happen. I told you with the first one, just to show you what I'm talking about with
That she is qualified.
I am qualified, but I do like people to everybody has a different palate. Just like, people that are super tasters are going to taste something different than me. Me and my daughter do not always agree. And not just because of wine, but anyways, so with the rosé and then the prima donna, I think it kind of dries it out. Probably brings the fruit forward. If you go back to the rosé and then you go to the Blaskas, it is a little bit creamier. It's got a little bit more fat and it's a little bit sweeter. Yeah. And it just is kind of like this great big fruit explosion.
Yeah, it does taste like that.
I did get that. Maybe I'm a super taster as well.
I believe that. I do.
I love Todd the peanut
It's so
gallery.
crazy how you like the synergy of the wine and the
Each
cheese.
one,
And how they
Because that definitely gives a different taste with the rosé.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
By the way, at our last Zoom meeting, we had Ballerina, which is a nice aged goat milk Gouda, similar to the prima donna. And when we paired it, we had forgotten, and we originally had paired the Ballerina. So if any of you Zoom people out there that did the last pairing, this rosé goes really, really good with that Ballerina that you drank a few months or ate a few months
You
ago.
still have it, right?
Oh, we always, we can't get rid of that. I mean, it's Ballerina. It's a great name.
That's what you have.
It is.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think? What do you like better, or do you like that they came to how it changed it from one to the next? If when we do a double pairing, the reason that I did go ahead and say let's make this a double pairing is because the contrast is like bizarre from one cheese or from one cheese to the next. It's just completely different. And when we talk about cheese and wine, the wines, I always like to talk to the winery or whatever. And if they're in my shop, I'll say, what is your favorite quality about this wine? And that's what's so important is we want to make sure we bring out that quality. And sometimes we find qualities in that wine or that cheese that we wouldn't know about just because we paired them together.
Right.
And sometimes we try a cheese and it's absolutely awful with the wine and we just haven't figured it out yet because Kimmy hasn't tried it.
Can I ask you about the cheeses? It says like the prima donna is Gouda style.
Yes.
What does Gouda style mean?
So remember I told you it's not a true Gouda, it's a Prosti.
If it doesn't have enough fat in it?
So yeah, so cheeses, for instance, Goudas were named after a town in Gouda. And if you go to the Netherlands, each town, it's what they actually sold in those. I just learned about this. My daughter taught me because just smart. She's a nerd. But so if you go to different towns in the Netherlands, usually what they sold in those towns is what that product was named after that. So Goudas were made mainly in this little town, so they named that town Gouda when they chose to name it. But Goudas are because of the recipe. So it has to be a specific recipe and it has to have a certain amount of fat. And technically it has to be from that town. It's not a protected
It's
cheese.
like champagne.
Except for champagne is a protected product, just like Parmesan is. So Parm can only be made at qualified creameries, specific cows, in specific area. If it's not from those areas, it's not Parmesan. Stilton is the same way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there's many protected cheeses. In fact, a little note again, the United States is the only country in the world that doesn't follow the protected rules of cheese.
Of course they don't.
So,
Follow the rules.
I was kind of a European cheese snob. I was like anti-American cheeses, but this is what I have to tell you. I've been at this for 7 years. I truly believe that the US is getting better at like not calling fake Parmesan. They'll say Parmesan style. They might misspell it a little bit, or they won't say Parmigiano Reggiano, which is the true name. But I have to say, because there's so many cheeses from other countries and they really stick to the guideline, like that prima donna not being a Gouda, that we are a little bit more adventurous. And so we make a lot of cheeses that you probably wouldn't see in other countries.
Okay.
One of them is, there's this beautiful cheese from Wisconsin, and it's called Maubé. It has that gray ash, kind of like you would think about Maubière or Humboldt Fog if you've ever had it. But it's actually half goat and half cow. It's just this beautiful, creamy, heavenly cheese. You can tell it's one of my favorites. I love that cheese. It's just magical. And it's something, if you lived in another country, I don't think they would have ever thought of that. I've never seen anything like it. So what I have to say about the US and the United States and our domestic cheeses, we are doing things that no one else is thinking of. And actually some of the European countries are starting to step out of their comfort zones a little bit now and kind of follow us. Where before it was, we used to export more cheddars than any other country, and actually to Britain, to England, which is really bizarre. And then we went, oh, we're making money. This is in the 1800s. And then we're making all this money. And then we started to add oils and unnatural stuff. And we kept shipping it to them. And they went, this stuff is crap. And then that's why the US really doesn't import a lot of cheeses to other countries until just recently, because now we actually have built our brand back up. I mean, people have.
We don't export cheeses to other
We
countries.
weren't,
We
because
weren't,
we
yeah.
were making all this crap cheeses in the
Right.
1800s because we were.
So our experimentation has actually been a good thing over time.
It has.
When you say cheddar, I think English cheddar.
Yeah, and I have a great English cheddar. Just saying.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So we're drinking the rosé. The interesting thing about the rosé is there's 8 different variety of grape varietals that are in that wine. So what we want to do, we'll have a little contest out here. We're going to give away a bottle of rosé.
A signed bottle of rosé for whomever can guess the most varietals that are of the 8. So we're gonna do it like I think
Like
what's
the percentage, like the
No.
high.
Not percent. Well,
they're not percentage of wine, but like so it's like I can name 4 of the varietals in this, or I can name
Okay.
5 of the varietals in this, and if you get it right, then you're gonna get that.
Bottle of
then you
rosé.
get that bottle.
Well, I think everybody's done with their rosé, so hopefully you guys
Yeah,
remember.
remember the flavor.
Anybody got any ideas? Oh, right over there.
Oh, we got one. How many do you think you can name? I know.
Ginger,
Oh.
hey, Ginger might be excluded from this. I'm just saying. Sorry, Ginger.
If nobody else can, then we'll have you do it.
Yes. Anybody.
Anybody else?
So
Just,
basically,
I
like
mean,
name that tune and how
I
many
can,
notes
but
do
I
you
don't
need?
want to do
No.
that.
no, Tina, you're not.
Anybody
gonna
in
do
your-
that.
I don't know. but
Give
I
us
just-
give us 3. Give us 3. Anybody on the rosé?
Come on, you guys.
Try
Just
it.
pick anything and that's white.
You
and
have
beat
nothing
it.
to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have
Except the
everything to
bottle.
gain.
There we go,
Okay,
here we go.
Okay, Chris, go for it.
Pinot Noir,
Okay.
Pinot Grigio, and Chardonnay.
Yes, that is correct.
Great.
Three.
And anybody?
I'll keep.
Oh,
Can
Meg?
you,
Can
no,
anybody do 4?
not yet. Do you have any more? Do you want to add to?
Because remember, there's 8.
You said name 3, so.
I said name 3.
Yeah.
You got to start this somewhere. You know? And you did it. You did it.
All right. Does anybody on Zoom remember name that tune? Because I feel like right now it's like I can name that tune in 5 notes right now, and I just
Name it in 6 notes
Yeah.
or 4 notes.
We have 4. Do we have anyone else?
Anyone can do. Can anyone do 4? We can think about it.
We're streaming grapes.
Don't
No,
look on
pay attention back
your,
there.
don't look on your phone.
8 varietals in the rosé that you're tasting. Yeah.
In this rosé that you just drank. Okay, so Pinot Gris, Chardonnay, and Pinot Noir are the most common. So that means that there are 5 less common. So for whoever can name the next one that is the least common.
Well, Chris has got another one. Hold on.
Oh, it's got another
Riesling.
No.
Chris is out. Chris is
Anybody
out.
else? Anybody else? What? Nope.
Mac is out.
Yes.
Oh, right there.
No. He just said Riesling. Nope.
Yeah.
Yes, Gewürztraminer.
No.
Yeah.
No. There's no Gewürztraminer in our rosé.
You keep changing the rules on me. What's going on here?
Nope. Chardonnay. Already said it. Dang it. He's
No.
No.
No, he said Chardonnay.
He said
He's
Pinot
not paying
Gris.
attention. You guys.
Pinot Gris, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir are out. Those are the 3 most common.
How about it?
Cabernet Franc, she said.
Yes. Who said that? Winner.
We have 5. We have 5.
No, she gets
So
a
Cabernet Franc, that's number 4. So yeah, so Cabernet Franc is the 4th one, and then we've got. So these are much less notes. We've got Muscat, Autumnal, Auxerrois, and
Auxerrois.
Leon Milo.
Wouldn't have guessed that.
Chris,
Right.
you know
So we
that?
got the 4.
I know that. No.
All right. So
Are
we
you
got,
gonna name your first child after that grade?
there you go.
You know, if I had a child, I think I'd name it Auxerrois.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what's your
What
name?
would Cabernet Franc?
Marley.
Good job, Marley. Good job, Chris.
You know all those? All right.
I did too.
Oh, okay. We got a late comer. Late comer in the ball game back there.
Just being humble. Okay, we have 2 more cheeses.
Yeah.
Two more
All right,
cheeses,
guys.
1 more wine. Yep.
So here's the fun one. We're going to a red, which I don't have any.
Yes, you
Oh,
do.
sorry, Tina.
Yes, you do. I just used this.
We don't have it
Yes,
yet.
you do.
Okay.
Kind of freshen
So Pinot Noir. My daughter is a big red drinker. This is another bottle of wine she took home.
Why is your daughter not here?
Yeah, we talked a lot about it.
I
Oh,
do talk
what
about
a
it.
Tina.
I don't know what. You know what? Maybe she should come to a pairing sometime.
No, you're awesome.
She's so
Next time she'll
technical, and it's amazing, like her technical side.
Cool.
But she's not as cute and charming as me. So, anyway, so Pinot Noir. Again, I always have a story. So when I did start drinking wines after I got over this beer thing, I really didn't like them. And my friend, I worked at Steelcase Office Furniture for years, and my friend came up north a lot, and she goes, "All right, I'm going to bring you 2 wines." And she actually brought me, and she said, "When you go up here, I want you to go to this place." And I went to Chateau Chantal, and I bought their nice and naughty, and I started with the nice because it was really sweet, and then eventually I got to the naughty. Today, I could not drink a sweet red for the life of me, unless it was maybe like a dessert wine. But it's amazing how your palate changes. Your palate changes. But then when I started drinking reds, it was the really big heavy, the really big oak, and then I didn't like the tan. I mean, your palate is always changing, and as I eat more cheese and drink more wine, my palate changes even more because I'm always looking for wine that goes with cheese. So Pinot Noirs always, to me, it's funny, and I had some from California, and they always seemed like they oaked them or were trying to pull out flavor. So I always felt like Pinot Noirs just didn't really have a lot of flavor. And I think in the last 3 years, and maybe you guys can agree or disagree, I think the Pinot Noirs in Northern Michigan have just become better and better and better. And I just really love the Pinot Noirs. I just
We
think,
can definitely agree with you on that.
yeah, I think so. I mean, I think
Yeah.
they have gotten
Yeah.
better and better
Yeah.
in the last few years.
Well, and ours did spend some time in French oak barrels, but it's not overly oaked. It's not a heavy,
Right. It's not like cigar.
right? Yeah.
So, so when I tried this, and Kimmy and I paired this we drank it. When we drank this together, she brought home a little bit. I was just really, really like the spice notes, It's like this big Pinot Noir. You know, it's got some cab notes on it. It has a little bit of Malbec, like that rich Malbec. It just is a really amazing Pinot Noir. You guys, good job.
I'll tell you right now, when I'm tasting this Pinot Noir, which is ours, which I've had a lot of it, I'm getting more taste, more emphasis in the taste because of the cheese.
Exactly. So our palates are starting to, kind of, that's why we go from kind of light wine to a heavier wine. And actually, I wouldn't have put like a pepper cheese, maybe, you know, a lot of flavored cheeses before that, or I would have had to throw a cracker in there. So this has just all the wonderful qualities I like. There's, you know, big berry notes, there's spice, there's everything going on. It just, everything, a little tannin. So anyways, what we like to do is not everybody, you know, when you think red, you think pasta, spaghetti, you know, or you think like maybe lamb chops. It's always some big heavy meal.
Meat, yeah.
So, but we do like to always bring in something that would be kind of foodie. The first cheese is a French cheese. It's called Le Roux. It's the roll. It's herbs of Provence, a little bit of garlic. It's actually rolled out like a pastry, and then they put the herbs in, and then they roll it up. I wish this is what they would call their fresh cheese, or this would be their creamed cheese.
You didn't smell it.
I
Smell it.
wish the U.S. made cream cheese. I mean, if I could do so many wonderful recipes, if I could just buy this. It is like this wonderful, wonderful cheese. One of my favorite cheeses. But I mean, it kind of can be a meal. If you threw it on a cracker or a baguette, I could eat it as a meal. And so when we drink this red wine, this beautiful Pinot Noir, and then we eat all those herbs, it just kind of dries it out. I think it pulls out the berries. I don't have any right here.
What don't you have? We have everything right here for you, Tina. I got it for you.
So I mean, I just think it's just a really, really cool wine to show off that it would go great with a meal.
And it mellows out that the herbs in there a little bit, so they're not overwhelming.
Yeah.
But there's still you can still get the underlying flavors. So that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and because it is a really big cheese. It is.
Yeah,
I love it. I mean, this cheese on a baguette is like magical.
Be careful who you talk to after this cheese, but hey.
I feel like
Yeah, it's true.
Tina, I feel like the real cheap version of this.
Yes, agreed.
That is so
That's
funny because
fantastic.
people come in all the time and ask me if we have Borson.
They do.
Yeah, Borson. How are you
Borson,
pronounce-
sorry,
Borson?
Borson, whatever.
I don't know. I don't know the pronunciation because I don't carry it. My child. But we carry this cheese called
So
Euro
good.
cream.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And Euro cream, you know how Borson has kind of that creamier, it doesn't have texture. It's more like cream cheese, like where it's like melting, you're kind of creamy. This has some texture to it, and that's why I love it. It is really garlicky.
Yeah,
It
it gets
is.
mellowed out quite a bit when you have the wine.
It does mellow out when you have the wine.
And I
So
think what's nice with our Pinot Noir is that it's not, some Pinot Noirs, there's a little bit of a, you know, you have a concern about the body of a Pinot Noir. It can be very thin, it can be very light bodied.
yeah,
Ours is light bodied, but it's not thin by any means. It's got a lot of flavor, a lot of texture that you feel in the mouth. So I think it goes really nicely with.
Yeah. And that's what I always say is Pinot Noir is always kind of, Pinot Noir has always tasted kind of watery to me. I was just like, if I'm gonna drink a red, I want a big red.
Yeah.
So if you notice, really dry on the palate, really, like I said, I think the fruit notes come out. If you come back with a second sip, you're getting kind of like black cherry, maybe even a little mulberry. And then what we did again, and is there anybody here that just can't stand blues? Are you serious? Is this the first time? Yes.
There's one over
Oh,
there.
one
Oh,
over
there's
there.
gotta be.
Oh, one over there.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's always one. It's either the
She
gold
can't either.
milk or it's the blue that somebody doesn't like.
Yeah.
One thing I will tell you, little bites of blue, if you've been buying, if it's like blue crumbles, or if you go to a restaurant and you eat blue on a salad, and then the next time you go, oh, that wasn't bad, and then you eat it again and it's terrible. Any crumble that you buy in the store, here I go again. I'm all about education of cheese. If you buy crumbles in the store, do you realize that they're putting like wood pulp or like they're putting it's not wood pulp. That's what they do with fake
Cellulose?
parm. They're putting they're putting like a cellulose or something in there so it doesn't so it doesn't stick together. And it makes it bitter. And then it sits in the store and it can sit in the store for up to 6 months. And it makes it just bitter awful.
Oh.
So if you're gonna even buy from a grocery store, at least buy a wedge and crumble it yourself. It will crumble. Put
That's
it in.
good to hear.
Yeah, just buy a good blue cheese. But I do say if there's any cheese you're gonna not buy in the grocery store, I say brie and blues are ones you should find a cheese shop.
Is there a difference? I see you said put Gorgonzola, but then you put Italian aged blue cheese. When people go, is there a difference? What's the difference between Stilton, blue cheese, and Gorgonzola?
Okay, so probably one of the biggest questions asked about blue cheese. So blue cheese is a style of it can be any style of cheese. We have a Gouda. Stilton is actually a crumbly white cheese from England. Most Stiltons that are eaten in England are actually fruit Stiltons, where they add little pieces of fruit. Mango ginger is the most popular in the US. There's lemon. We carry a blueberry. So any cheese that has the veining is a blue cheese.
Okay.
All these are just styles, and it can be made with just about any cheese. So Stilton is Gorgonzola is from Italy. The reason it says it's aged is because Gorgonzola can be dolce or picante. Dolce is young, much creamier. Picante is a little bit firmer. We carry the picante. And one thing, I wish we could do a close. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna pick this up and show the camera. All right. What's really cool is, and I was showing you this earlier. So this blue cheese, can you see the little dots in your cheese?
Yeah.
So blue cheese, I always thought they injected it with a bacteria or whatever. So what happens with blue cheese is they make the cheese, like I said, we carry a Gouda that's really mild. Oh,
He's gonna go in there.
do I have it right? Yeah. And then there's a nice vein and all that awesome mold. All right. So anyways, blue cheese, they make the cheese and there is a bacteria in that cheese. And so they add it's called penicillium, not to be mistaken with penicillin. 99% of them are penicillium, which is it's a Roquefort strain of this bacteria. And what happens is they age the cheese and there's no veining or anything. Right before they ship it out, it used to be by hand, but they have these machines that pierce the cheese. And that's what those little holes are. And the way we cut the cheese today, the girls cut it for me. The way they cut it, you can see the piercings, but some of you have some really cool, awesome dark veins in it. That is because the piercing allows oxygen, which allows the moisture from the cheese, and the oxygen allows that bacteria to grow, and it allows it to vein the older you let it sit. And a lot of times when we open a brand new wheel of blue, when you cut it open, especially if it's like a high dense one and high moisture, it will be like yellow veins. And as you're standing there showing the customer, they can watch it get dark because it's just hit that oxygen.
Wow.
And you get to see the veins come out really dark. Blue cheese to me is the most amazing, nerdy cheese in the universe because it's just so cool.
Is that your favorite?
I like the really funky wash rides too.
Okay.
But my favorite cheese is a goat Gouda, but that's a whole nother story.
Oh, good.
So anyways, Gorgonzola, it's creamy. You get some of that blue.
Because people go, oh my God, am I eating mold?
Heck yeah, you're eating good mold.
Okay.
Yeah. Since she asked. Yeah.
Usually,
It is.
you want to cut the mold off.
Yeah. No.
Not
No.
this
Not with. So all blue cheeses are mold. So Stilton is a dry, crumbly, natural rind. A lot of blue cheeses will have the foil over it, and that just means that it holds the moisture a little bit more. Delft Blue gets a thick wax, so it's just like eating a Gouda, but it has just a hint of blue. And then there's a couple. So we talk about where they blend it in with the cheese. There's one other way to make cheese blue, and that is called ambient. Probably how they discovered blue cheese is they were probably in the caves, probably. We're talking ancient Roman time. Yes, exactly. Ancient Roman time, where they probably had bread or something in a cave with some cheese, and the ambient or the mold from another product probably molded the cheese, and they chose to eat it, and they went, dang, this is really good. And so that's kind of probably how blue was discovered. I love the history of cheese. Obviously, I talk way too much
Wow,
about it.
it's
Speaking of the
cool.
history of cheese.
Yeah.
Let's, what country, anybody know the answer? We'll give another bottle of wine away. What country was cheese originally? Where did it come from? What country? Anybody know?
Not Tina.
I don't know.
Not Tina.
I don't even know.
I think, well, by the way,
Austria.
Google says 3 different things, but I'm going to go on one of them.
Okay.
I'm just going to go.
Who said Austria?
Look at Chris. Come on.
Austria.
Holland.
Close. What? What'd you say?
Holland.
France.
Now remember,
I'm just going off what Google says because there's one actually answer that says the U.S., but obviously we
can I just say that we literally have cheeses that are like also Arate was seriously BC. It was like we're talking the ancient Roman like the 800s or the 500s.
I found some factual information.
Okay, let's find out.
I feel like Italy. It started all the good
Poland.
No. What? Greece, no.
Egypt.
No.
I'm
Egypt was kind of
playing
up there,
in
but
there.
could have been. But
I mean, come on, think about this.
Israel?
This is talk when.
I still go with Italy.
What do you say?
France? No.
Italy, Terry, exactly.
The Poles.
What?
Poland.
Ah, Poland. You're right. Poland.
Not buying it. No,
You're not buying it.
not
The
buying
cheese
it.
lady says no. You got an audible.
No.
You don't get a bottle of wine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Unless you're not 21 yet, so you can't get it.
Oh,
Can
yeah.
I
We're gonna
gift
have
it
to
to the
pivot.
lovely ladies?
You said why not Poland? That's what it says. Google says it. Well, the World Wide Web is not real. Come on.
What's really funny
On
is
Wikipedia.
because Polish are actually smarter than we all think, and they probably just came up with it and put it all over Wiki. No, because it just doesn't make sense. Because was Poland even
Talk to
discovered?
the camera.
Oh, hey, was Poland even? I mean, I don't know my geography, but Poland just doesn't make sense.
So Tina, I got a question for you. What for my guest, how much cheese should I get per guest at a party?
Oh, that's a really good question. So when people ask me how much cheese to get, if you're gonna have, first thing I say, is it for cocktails before dinner? Are you having, are you gonna have dinner, or is it just because this is what you're gonna do for have cocktails and it's after dinner? So that kind of matters. First of all, I always say don't pick more than 3 or 4 cheeses because it's overwhelming. Have you ever gone to a restaurant and you got 5 pages of menu? It's terrible. I love a 1-page menu. Unless there's something on there I don't like. But for the most part, I always say 3 to 4 cheeses. And then I always say if it's like that's what they're going to be snacking on all night, I say 1 to 2 ounces. You guys all have 1 ounce. That's a really big piece of cheese for this pairing.
2 ounce pours of wine.
Yeah. So I always say 1 to 2 ounces per person. If it's going to be a full evening, I might go a little heavier. If it's just cocktails right before dinner, it's so hard. I talk people down. I try to talk them off the ledge because they want 5 cheeses and they want to buy 2 pounds. And I'm like, you don't want that much cheese.
Yeah.
But sometimes if they're from out of state, I let them buy it. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I'm kind of totally kidding. But I mean, so that's what I would say. 2 ounces per person is a really good number. Like I said, if it's
3 to 4 that you recommend if you're gonna do 3 to 4.
Vlaskas. So here's what we say. I want 3 to 4 cheeses. We're having appetizers before dinner. It happens 10, 20, 30 times a day. Do you want a blue or a brie? And if they say yes or no, then we go, all right. So that might be 1 or 2 of them. And then Vlaskas, if somebody comes in and says, I need 3 cheeses, I'll pick Vlaskas, probably Prairie Breeze cheddar. It goes really good with wine. And usually I'll ask him, are you drinking? Is there any drinking involved? And then if there's wine, then I go, is it white and red? So Vlaskas, Prairie Breeze, and usually a brie. I just think bries are beautiful. If we're
French? Are
they're all
French?
the we only carry French brie, yeah. And the other thing that I always tell people is my daughter has a rule: something old, something new, something goat, and something blue. And if you don't like goat, you can go sheep or flavored. So that's kind of a rule. So you can go with a brie, or you could go with the LaRue.
Let's go back. So something
Old, something new.
So what's the old and new?
Well, today we could say, okay,
The
let's go with that.
Vlaskas is the
So old would be the prima donna age. I call it the old lady because it's a prima donna young. And then I would see something old, something new would be the LaRue.
Okay.
And then something goat or sheep or flavored. So I would I don't have it.
Yeah.
And then something blue. Did you try it? The blue?
Oh, yes.
What do you think? It's awful.
Okay, but it's not my favorite.
And it doesn't have to be.
The Gorgonzola?
Yes. And I tell people if you try our blue, or if you don't like our blue, because this is cut fresh. This was cut fresh off the wheel today. They wrapped them all up today. If you don't like that, Gorgonzola is kind of that medium age blue. then it's just not your thing. And that's okay. And I don't like people who try to push you. Now you've tried it, now you don't have to
This
anymore.
is wonderful.
I think the
yeah.
Gorgonzola might be one of my favorites.
Gorgonzola is such a beautiful classic
You got
blue.
a question in the back room back there?
Yeah, so I typically don't like blue cheeses. I don't mind this. I don't mind this. Gorgonzola.
Did you drink it with the red wine? It could be the wine. No,
Yeah,
it's
a lot of red wine.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is you're not even eating it with a cracker or a baguette or anything. It's because, again, if you buy blue in a store, if you're buying it in a store and it's wrapped, it's going to be wrapped in plastic. The minute you take a blue cheese who is still living organism that's still trying to age and everything, I don't care if it's a week, a month, it just kills it. It makes it bitter and ugly. It gets slime. It's just awful. So that's why I say if you're gonna buy cheese, the only two cheeses, if you have to buy from a store, fine. But if there's two cheeses, I always say if you can get it fresh, do it. It's blue and brie. And another little trick about grocery stores, if they're sampling a cheese, chances are they're sampling the new wheel and they're trying to sell the old wheel. So look at that expiration date, because technically they should have when they cut it and when it expires. So
Well, nobody's sampling during COVID right now. So.
no, that's true. But I mean, that is a cool.
But that's a good little note. Yeah, question in the back.
So if I wanted to go to your store this week and buy all these cheeses, how long would they last?
You can buy them here tonight. We've got
Yeah,
them all.
it's-
We've got a party pack.
We're having a party in a week or two. Like how long do they?
I mean, if you're from out of town, I'd say buy it now. And it'd be fine. But if you live in town and it's going to be 2 weeks away, I'd probably say come in that week. I mean, if you buy tonight from they have, I don't know how many people you have, it will last 2 weeks. We wrap it in cheese paper. It really does keep it fresh. We use Italian cheese paper. I am actually the importer of all of our cheese paper. It's it's what I did for a living, is brought in imported stuff from suppliers for a living for many years. But so that Italian cheese paper is the best ever. And truly, cheeses have about a 4-week shelf life, even the blues. I always say if there's moisture on the paper, then pull it out of that paper, rewrap it, parchment, wax paper, and then a Ziploc. So if you buy cheese in the store, get it out of the plastic, maybe even scrape it if it looks a little shiny or wet, get it all dried off, throw it in wax paper or parchment paper, then a Ziploc, and it will just kind of help keep it fresh.
Okay, last question right here.
All right.
What do we got?
I have a family friend in Germany, and she always laughs at the Americans for having cheese before a meal, because in her opinion, it's a palate closer, and it comes after the meal. Which one would you recommend? Where should it go?
Before and after. Okay, seriously. I mean, seriously, yeah, it does. It says eat,
Sleep cheese.
Yeah.
We're gonna get that shirt
yeah.
too.
So seriously, so here's the thing. My boyfriend, my significant other, he's Canadian, and so their meals are gigantic. I mean, it's like a major spread. I walk in the door, and this is at my house, at my family. I'm German, and there's 72 of us when we meet for Christmas. My niece and I both own a cheese shop. We both pull out cheese. People eat cheese before the food comes out. And then after dinner, I go to his house and I eat that food because it's amazing. And they're all like chowing on cheese and they eat the meal. And then about a half hour later, they pull out the really good scotch. He pulls out a cellar wine, and they're all picking out on the cheese again. And about 2 hours later, I'm pulling the cheese out again. Truly, in France, anybody who's been to France, when the meal is done, they pull out the cheese cart, and you think you can't eat anymore, but you do. So I say we're people who like our appetizers. Yeah. I mean, I used to be an appetizer person before I ate a meal at a restaurant. I don't know why, because the meal wasn't even that good because I ate the appetizer. But cheese before a meal, I think it's amazing. And so I say, we're Americans. We do it before and we do it after.
Do you think with crackers or a baguette?
So here's my rule with cheese. Okay. I say with cheese, throw the cracker or the baguette. I don't care what you put on there. I'm more of a baguette person, but it is heavier. I say don't eat your cheese with crackers. I say eat your cheese if you want that cracker just for a palate cleanser. And I may have done that if there was a blue in the middle of this pairing. I would have had a couple crackers just to cleanse your palate so you could get back to it. I throw apple slices. I might throw dried fruit, maybe some Marcona almonds. I might throw one of those fruit Stiltons. They're a great palate cleanser. I'm not a cracker person. I'm not. I mean, I love we sell a French baguette that's amazing, but I'm saying I don't do
Just
a lot
with
of
wine,
baguettes.
even with like a brie, just with wine.
Oh, with brie? I've been known to slice it and eat it like an apple. But I mean, yeah, no, you're right. With a brie, I do have crackers. Yes, exactly. Or the LaRue. The LaRue.
Yeah.
The LaRue would be a baguette.
Or rosé. Yeah.
Or rosé.
We're all of it. It's all of it together.
Yeah.
All right. So for everybody that's watching at home, for everybody that's here, if you are not in our wine club, join our wine club. You would be getting a glass of wine for free every night that you're here. You would get these invites to these events all the time. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Tina.
You've been looking at my face for too long.
If you enjoyed what you had tonight, we've got an amazing party pack of all of the wines and the cheeses that you tasted, and we're going to give it to you at a little discount. So it was originally $99. We're going to do it for $80. So if anyone tonight wants to go home with that, for any of our friends at home that are watching that want to take it home, or because we can't ship cheese right now because it's a little bit hot, but you can come to the winery and pick it up. Just do it online and we'll give it to you for $80. So, but join the wine club, free glasses of wine, invites to these kinds of events, and 20% off. 20% off. Thank you. Wow.
Yes.
20% off.
Cool, why don't you come on over here? Everybody give a warm applause for the cheese lady, Tina. Thank you so much. Obviously, you can watch this, rewind it. You can know all about cheese. I mean, how cool is that? You can figure out.
I just want her to keep coming back.
I know.
Can you just come back once a month and teach us more?
Because there's probably a lot more to learn. I would say there's a lot more to learn.
We got goat and brie to explore here.
Totally. And then obviously in the coming weeks, we still have maybe a couple VIP tables left. I'm not sure.
Next week is sold out.
Okay, so we have a couple sold out.
In the next
we have a lot of celebrities that are coming on, a lot of celebrity chefs that will be joining us, which is great. Marcus Samuelson, Sonny, and Abra, who's going to be up here, who's going to be up here at TC Farm Club, which is awesome.
And we're going to introduce them to our new chef here.
And we're going to introduce you to our new chef.
Yay.
You may know him because he is local.
We're going to cheers that.
And at the same time, if you want any cheese, go to thecheeseladytc.com. Figured that's what it was. It's
We
pretty
ship
easy.
late September through April
Ship.
if we can ship. I mean, if there is a
Just
post office.
send her an email.
Late
She'll drive it
September,
over.
yeah,
She'll figure
to
it out how to
April.
get it to you. Thank you so much for
Thank you
joining us.
so
We
much for
appreciate it.
joining.
Happy Wine Wednesday. Salute
Cheers.
to everybody. Thank you guys for
Cheers.
being here.
Cheers, everybody.
Adios. Till next week.